Okay, so in this hiatus, Brian and I have been watching a lot of reality TV, and these reality TV shows that we have chosen to watch are involving, is it polygamy?
One was polygamy.
Polygamy, and then what's the other?
Married at first sight.
Both involve, like they're involving countercultural marriages, or how they choose to enter into a marriage is countercultural. Yes, one married at first sight is about people who literally get married at first sight. They have, I guess, experts who look at profiles and, you know, use their expertly opinions, match these two people together, and they literally meet for the first time on their wedding day. That's show number one. We'll get to that in a minute. Other show, Seeking Sister Wives, is on TLC. The other show's on Lifetime.
Yeah.
So this show's on TLC. This is in their second season, Seeking Sister Wives, and it's a show about polygamy, where the husband has a wife already and he's seeking another wife. And so it talks about their journeys and their feelings towards finding, you know, a second, third, or fourth wife. Some of these couples have like three wives, and they're looking for a fourth. Now, I'm gonna admit my biases about Seeking Sister Wives. It confuses me when women agree to this, period. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm willing to admit my bias. I don't know why. I understand their reason. They want someone to be close to another woman who can understand and raise their kids with, but I mean, can that not be done with like a really close friend? With that being said, there's a lot of polygamous couples that actually like work, and I believe them, and I feel like everyone is on equal footing. But there's some couples that I just feel like I don't necessarily think, and I'm not sold that everybody is on equal footing. That's where I get kind of like in my feelings about polygamous relationships, because I feel like the focus is male centered. Like, it's the man gets to pick how many ever wives he wants. And I always feel like with a lot of these couples, there's how do I say this? The first wife is not really feeling the idea of a second or third wife. They're still adjusting to like the second wife. And then the husband is kind of like, well, we need to find a third or fourth wife. And then the husband is not necessarily reading his wife's feelings. So I get kind of like annoyed, because I just feel like in these polygamous relationships, the husband's just going to do whatever he wants and the wife just kind of like follows suit. So that's why I get kind of like annoyed. Like, I don't feel like some of these couples are on equal footing. Do you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I just don't.
I don't feel like that with every couple. Like, I do feel like there are some couples who the husband actually does like respect all of his wife's choices, and he actually does listen to them. In Seeking Sister Wives, in this, I don't know, this is the second season. The Aldridges, although they're boring to watch, I do feel like the husband legitimately respects all his wives. He actually does listen to them, and all the wives seem to be. Everyone seems to be on the same page, and I don't feel like there's like this underlying like resentment or animosity. And I can't say the same for some of the other couples. Like, God, what's that boring couple from Utah? I don't even remember their names, but like the guy and his wife maybe just got married, the first wife. I don't know. They've been married for a couple of years. And then like there's a new wife.
Him and the first wife been married for several years, but the second wife has only been in the picture for like a couple years.
And like you can just tell when you're watching the show that she's like, they're both kind of awkward around each other, which I kind of understand because it's two different people entering into like this relationship. But the husband is already talking about a third wife, and neither the two wives don't live together. Like, they live in separate homes. So he has to jump from like county to county to like come see them, and the first wife is like, I'm just not getting used to the second wife, and now you're going to introduce a third, and we don't even live under the same roof. And he's just like, oh well, blah blah blah, I don't know what he says. But the second wife doesn't mind it because she's already like was raised in a polygamous household her whole life, so she's totally on board with the third wife. But the first wife is like not feeling like any of this. So that's what I mean when like the husband doesn't listen or read his wives, which makes me really annoyed. And I feel like if the husband is going to have 3 wives or 2 wives or more than 1 wife, then he has to be like the facilitator. In the first season of Seeking Sister Wives, what was the family from Utah where they had like 100,000 kids, 3 wives? They ended up getting divorced, by the way.
The first wife.
The first wife divorced him.
When they moved to Oregon because they were having trouble with where they lived, where people pretty much figured out that they were a polygamous family. After they moved to Oregon, which the first wife didn't want to do, she took her kids and just left and went back to Utah, and she got divorced.
What was I going to say about them? Oh, none of the wives got along. Not a one. Like the first wife pretty much hated the second and third wife, and she made it very clear that she was the first wife, and she did not care. And the husband would just be like, "Oh, okay. Well, you guys are fighting. I'm just going to step back. I'm going to go do me, and then you guys figure it out." And I just feel like, no, if the husband's going to acquire all these wives, then he has to be the one to like fix the problem. Like, I don't know, because I feel like a lot of the time the husband has the final say in this polygamous relationship. I actually feel like some of the other husbands actually want the first wife's opinions. But my point is, he did a terrible job with his wives, and apparently his first wife agreed because she divorced his ass and moved back to Utah, which is also another problem I have. Like, so if you have a first wife who's like legally, like it's a legal thing, like they've signed papers, it is legally recognized. Like, I feel like the tertiary and secondary and tertiary wives are like, is there anything legalistically, is that the word? Legally that's like set up for them in case the marriage dissolves? Because I feel like there's nothing in place for them. They're just going to be SOL.
There's nothing that is automatically in place. Like, basically, you have to be like what the Snowdens do. Even though they're not legally married, he sets things up legally so that they're taken care of it should something happen. So, legally he would, the husband would have to set up things for the second and third wives, since, so that they, get what they're supposed to get should something happen to him or their relationships. But that's, again, they have to set it up themselves. Like they it's not, the state or, is not going to recognize it.
I think that's why I get so frustrated with the show, because I want women to like, I want them to like do better for themselves. I don't think I have a problem with polygamy itself. I just feel like yes, the rules and the way it's set up is just like it benefits the male and the male only. I know that like a lot of the women are like, oh, I want a sister wife and I want someone to like join me in this union, blah blah blah. But the wives don't get to have other husbands. They don't get to have like, I'm trying to think of the right word, boy toys. I don't know what else to think of. Like, they can't enter into another relationship. And I still have a problem with, like, yes, what I explained before, like how legally, if you are a second, third, fourth wife, like if something happens to you, then you are fucked. Legally, like, I mean,
unless you took the foresight and the effort to set something up ahead of time, then yeah.
The Snowdens are another couple on this show. They annoy me for a whole nother reasons, but I feel like they're probably will work out because the husband chose not to legally marry any of his wives. Like, they're just recognizing it from like a spiritual point of view. So legally they're all on equal footing, and he doesn't want any favoritism. So I kind of like appreciate that about their unions. But yeah, I think the show just makes me think like, what what are people's expectations in a marriage? Like, what does a marriage look like? I know, like, because I've been conditioned to think like marriage is supposed to be monogamous. But I think I find the show so fascinating because it's just I just like dealing with one husband or one wife is already a lot, but like just to throw another person into it and deal with that dynamic, it just seems like such like unnecessary tension. I don't know how to explain it. But I'm not trying to, I like it. I think I keep watching the show because it kind of gives me just something to like think about with marriage, in terms of like, again, everyone's idea of marriage is different. Is it right or is it wrong? But again, I just don't think, I don't have a problem with polygamy. I just feel like, oh, I just want it to be like a little bit more even for the women. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but I feel like husbands need to be way more involved when it comes to like fights within the interfighting between the wives. I hate when like these dudes, I've only seen this happen like in the first season of the show, where the husband literally had 3 wives and they had like 15 kids apiece, and then he was just, every time they're fighting all the time, and he was just like, well, I just need you to figure it out. And I'm like, no, like that's not what you don't get this one out. Like, you have to help all your wives. But I do feel like the men in the second season kind of do a better job, somewhat. Not all of them, but some of them do try to not fix their wives, but they do listen to their wives and try to, you know, make them feel like they're not like in competition with one each other. Even though, like I said, the Alders are boring, like I do feel like they do a really good job of making sure everyone's happy. I think I have to make another video about Married at First Sight. Like I can't talk about these two back to back, but yeah, if anyone's ever watching Seeking Sister Wives, I definitely would recommend it, because it's TV that's just, I don't know, it's easy to binge. That's it. That's all I have to say. You should watch it. Okay, I'm done.